The fact that this continues to simmer and that we're not sure of where it's going to go?
Well, we are concerned. It's clear that the aerospace marketplace thrives on free and open trade around the world. And we're concerned about some of the talk of tariffs and trade restrictions. We're hopeful we'll find alternatives.
That's more than any commercial entity, airline or other, has ever bought. So we know what will happen if we see, in an absolute worst case scenario,
the trade tensions between the United States and China took a new turn, and this time, it directly hit one of America's biggest companies, Boeing. The Chinese government told its airlines not to accept any more deliveries of Boeing jets. This decision came after US President Donald Trump announced a 145% tariff on Chinese goods. This high tariff was seen as a punishment aimed at China, but it also triggered a strong reaction from Beijing. Now, the world's two biggest economies are locked in a serious trade war, and Boeing is one of the major victims. Before this new restriction, China's top 3 airlines had big plans for Boeing. Air China was supposed to receive 45 planes from Boeing between 2025 and 2027. China Eastern Airlines had even bigger plans with 53 aircrafts expected, and China Southern Airlines had planned to take delivery of 81 Boeing jets. That's a total of 179 planes, all worth billions of dollars. But with this new order from Beijing, none of these planes may be delivered anymore. This is a major blow to Boeing, not just financially, but also for its reputation and future sales in the huge Chinese market. It's not just the new planes that are affected. The Chinese government has also told its airlines to stop buying aircraft parts and equipment from US companies like Boeing. That could become a big problem for airline maintenance in China. Many of the jets flying in Chinese skies are made by Boeing, and they rely on parts made in the United States. If they can't get these parts easily, airlines may have to pay more for maintenance or look for alternative sources, which may not be as reliable or efficient. These higher maintenance costs could also lead to higher ticket prices for passengers in the future. To help the airlines, the Chinese government is thinking about offering financial support to those who lease Boeing jets. Leasing jets instead of buying them outright is common in the airline industry. But the new restrictions could make leasing more expensive too. If China really does step in to help these companies, it shows how serious this trade war is becoming and how much the government wants to reduce its dependence on American aviation. Meanwhile, Boeing's competitors are quietly celebrating. One of them is Airbus, the European plane manufacturer. Another is Comac, China's own aircraft maker. With Boeing out of the picture, at least for now, Airbus and Comac have a bigger chance to sell their planes to Chinese airlines. On the day the news broke, Airbus's shares went up by almost 3%, while Boeing's shares dropped. This shows how investors are reacting to the changing situation. If Boeing continues to lose ground in China, Airbus and Comac could take a much larger share of one of the world's biggest aviation markets. This is not the first time Boeing has faced problems in China. Back in 2019, China grounded 737 MAX planes after 2 crashes in Indonesia, and Ethiopia killed around 350 people. After that, China paused most of its orders and deliveries of Boeing jets. Just when Boeing was starting to recover, this new trade war brings another setback. Boeing's year has already been tough. In early January 2024, a Boeing 737 MAX operated by Alaska Airlines had an accident where a door plug came off mid-flight. This raised serious safety concerns. At the same time, Boeing faced a labor strike and problems in its supply chain. Regulators have also increased their inspections, and all these issues have slowed down Boeing's recovery and affected its ability to deliver planes in time. President Trump responded strongly to China's move. He said that China had gone back on a major Boeing deal. In a post on Truth Social, he mentioned that China had committed to buying these jets but was now refusing to take possession of them. Trump's tone showed how serious he thinks the issue is and suggests that the trade war might continue to get worse before it gets better. This situation is a major turning point for the global aviation industry. It highlights how politics and economics can directly affect companies and consumers. With 179 Boeing planes no longer going to China, billions of dollars are at stake. Maintenance costs in China are rising, and airlines might look elsewhere for their needs. At the same time, Airbus and Comac are ready to step in and grow stronger in Boeing's absence. See, Boeing is one of the biggest aerospace companies in the world. In 2025, the industry is expected to export about $125 billion worth of goods. Only the oil and gas industry exports more. Aerospace has been a strong area for US exports for many years, often with a trade surplus, meaning the US sells more planes and parts than it buys. But the new tariffs could change that. The biggest concern is the planned tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico. These countries are closely connected to US aerospace production. Boeing and other companies depend heavily on their parts and labor. Aluminum and steel are two key materials used to build airplanes. Aluminum is especially important, and about 75% of Boeing 737 MAX is made from aluminum. Steel is also used in smaller amounts, but it's still necessary. Tariffs on these materials could increase the cost of building each plane. Boeing's chief financial officer, Brian West, said the company has a lot of metal already in stock, so the short-term cost increase will be small, less than 1% of total costs. But that doesn't protect smaller companies and the supply chain, which don't have as much inventory or resources. The effects of the tariffs may be especially hard for suppliers, and these are the smaller companies that make parts of Boeing and other big manufacturers. Some of these companies have already had trouble getting enough materials and workers. With tariffs, their costs could go up by billions of dollars each year. One expert, Kevin Michaels, said the total cost increase for the aerospace industry might be around $5 billion every year. Most of that would come from the tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico. And if Canada or Mexico decides to strike back with their own tariffs, things could get even worse. This kind of trade war can hurt both sides. Canadian companies like Bombardier and CAE play a big role in the aerospace world. Bombardier makes business jets and airplane parts. CAE is one of the world's top producers of flight simulators. Pratt & Whitney also makes engines in Canada. All of these companies are connected to Boeing and the US industry. Bombardier's CEO, Eric Martel, told investors that the company had to stop giving financial predictions because of the uncertainty. He said the tariffs could have a very big impact on their business. Mexico is another major partner in aerospace. Companies like Collins Aerospace, Honeywell Aerospace, and General Electric Aerospace all have operations there. They design and produce parts for planes that are used around the world. These companies rely on lower labor costs and material availability in Mexico. Moving production to the United States would be very hard and expensive. It would take a lot of time, maybe years, and might not even be possible. One expert, Gerald Lundquist, said the supply chain is set up the way it is because it works well economically. Labor costs in Mexico and Canada are often lower. Materials are easier to get in certain places, and changing everything would be a huge task. Aerospace production takes a long time. Planes take years to design and months to build. They're used for decades, so decisions about where to build things are not made quickly. The new tariffs could slow things down again. Now, before you leave, just don't forget to give this video a like, smash that subscribe button, and also ring that notification bell for more uploads in the future.